HarperCollins presents Eddie Albert and the Amazing Animal Gang, The Curse of the Smuggler's Treasure, written and read by Paul O'Grady. Also starring Alvaro Flores, James Goode, Paul Panting and Lizzie Waterworth Santo. The prologue. If alarm clocks had feelings, then Eddie Alberts would have been disappointed to find that sounding its alarm had been a waste of time, as Eddie had been up, washed and dressed for ages. Now this was unusual behaviour for Eddie, as normally of a morning he was slow to wake up, preferring to press the snooze button and roll over for another 10 minutes under his duvet. His dad would shout up the stairs telling him that if he didn't get a move on, his Weetabix would go soggy and he'd be late for school. Eddie would shout back,
"I'm up, Dad!"
craftily slide a leg out of the bed and stamp on the floor with his foot, thinking that his dad would believe he was out of bed and walking around. Eddie's dad was wise to the trick, though. He'd once crept quietly upstairs, avoiding the bottom stair which creaked, and standing in the doorway of Eddie's bedroom, he'd caught him at it. This morning was different, though, and the reason he was awake earlier than usual was because he'd arranged to meet his new friend on the way to school. Eddie didn't have many friends, so making a new friend, especially one so interesting and different, was something very special, and he didn't want to be late.
"You're eager today,"
Eddie's dad said, watching him gobble down his breakfast.
"What's the rush?"
"I'm meeting a friend on the way,"
Eddie told him as he let himself out of the front door.
"His name's Rusty."
"Oh,"
his dad replied from the kitchen.
"Does he go to your school then?"
"No,
Eddie said,
but he lives close by."
and he closed the door quickly behind him in case his dad started asking any more questions. His new school wasn't that far away, and he usually took a shortcut through the park, but this morning he'd arranged to meet his friend Rusty on the bench by the tree. Eddie had only just sat down on the bench when Rusty suddenly appeared.
Oh, you frightened the life out of me, creeping up like that,"
Eddie exclaimed, moving up the bench so Rusty could sit down.
"Sorry,"
Rusty replied.
"Force of habit, I suppose. Anyway, how's things with you, buddy? All prepared for your holiday?"
"Yes, I can't wait.
Eddie said.
Only a few more days to go."
They sat chatting for a while until they saw someone approaching along the path. Rusty, being extremely shy by nature, leapt up off the bench and hid behind a tree until the man had passed by.
"I know him,"
Rusty said, sitting down again next to Eddie.
"He lives in one of those houses across the park, and now he's set off for work. I can take myself down there and have a look in his bins."
"Best of luck!"
Eddie shouted as Rusty set off across the park.
"See you when I get back!"
"You bet,"
Rusty replied.
"and enjoy your holiday. Where was it you said you were going again?"
"The Romney Marshes. They're in Kent."
"Never heard of 'em."
Rusty remarked as he shuffled into the bushes. He really is a magnificent-looking fox, Eddie thought as he watched him vanish out of sight, and quite chatty once you got to know him. But then, being able to talk to animals, Eddie found almost every animal he encountered to be quite chatty. Chapter 1. Have you ever heard of the Romney Marshes? It's an interesting place with a history of smugglers, pirates and strange goings-on. Maybe you live in the area, or perhaps you've even been there on holiday. Well, the Romney Marshes are in Kent, and they stretch along the coast from Hythe all the way to the ancient town of Rye. It's not really what you'd call a marsh at all. Instead, you'll find lots of flat fields dotted with sheep, winding roads and little villages. Don't worry, this isn't a geography lesson, and anyway, Aunt Budge will probably fill you in on all the details as the story goes on. Do you remember Aunt Budge, otherwise known as Lady Budleigh Sprocket? Well, she's Eddie's aunt, and
Sample complete. Ready to continue?